Next, we please welcome Bunmi Fatoye-Matory.
This is a short fiction, work in progress, and it's a simple story about a Nigerian immigrant woman making her home. Tender vines. Titi waited patiently for the hour to strike 3 a.m., knowing it would be 9 a.m. on the side of the world where her extended family lived. She had taken a brief nap earlier in the evening to help her stay awake. She needed to talk to her mother. She needed to know about the health of her father, and she needed to hear her mother's voice, the sonorous, sweet voice of assurance that tells her everything was well with the world. Mama Titi, as everyone called her mother, was a rock. Titi and her husband, with her two preteen children, lived near Boston, the last place on earth she wanted to be. They were there because her husband was finishing up the residency at Beth Israel Hospital in Boston. Titi did not want to be there. Both the weather and the local culture distressed her to no end. It was such a joyless place in spite of its reputation for having culture. What does culture mean anyway, when people don't say hello to each other? When people refuse to meet each other's gaze? When neighbors hardly know each other's names? Titi wondered. The calls home assuage her psychic loneliness, the kind that calls around your heart when there are no friends, old or new, no recognizable landmarks, and no familiarity with the cultural references. A child of the tropics, she found the Boston weather unbearable. Titi was finishing up a master's degree in business administration in the Women's College in Boston, and in spite of her very busy life, she felt invisible. As she moved through all the spaces they inhabited, whether in Nigerian school, the supermarket, public parks, and restaurants, she felt as if she was wearing an invisibility cloak. The type worn by Harry Potter in the Harry Potter books are children consumed with a singular intensity. Just one more year and they will be out of here to Charlotte, North Carolina. One of her husband's friends practiced there. She had visited the city and she loved it. Tonight though, she was going to feel the warmth of home radiating through her telephone. For this purpose, she had bought numerous calling cards to reduce the exorbitant fees their telephone company charges for long-distance calls. She dialed her mother's cell phone number many times, only to be told by a voice with the strangest accent that the subscriber you're calling is not available. 15 minutes had gone by. First, she had to dial 10 digits on the calling card, followed by 11 for the PIN, and then the country code with 3 digits, and finally her mother's 10 digits. These were 34 digits that had to be repeated each time the evil voice announced that mother was not available. She murmured to herself. Things are supposed to get better with technology. Just a few years ago, there was not a single cell phone in the whole country. People used landlines, and only a tiny portion of the population had landlines. It took years of waiting and bribing to obtain a landline from the corrupt and inefficient government company that run telecommunications. Her parents did not have a telephone. When Titi had to call her mother, she called the home of a family friend who lived in another town 10 miles away. This friend then sent words to her mother, who unfailingly was sitting by the phone on the appointed day Titi had promised to call. Complicated, but it worked. Then the government privatized the industry, and almost every citizen now owned a cell phone. It was like a patched piece of land long deprived of rain. The rain, when it came, couldn't pour enough. The poor had cell phones which they used sparingly. They would rather receive calls than make them. The rich had so many that sometimes it took several personal assistants to carry them around with the big man or woman, who could be seen swapping one phone for another, talking in the loudest of voices in public places. Cell phones became one of the prestige objects in the culture, along with BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, and Italian leather shoes. Titi called her mother again and still had the same irritating message. She knew her mother was available. She knew exactly what her mother was doing at 9 a.m. She waited for another 10 minutes and then broke her resolve not to call her brother Primity. Like many people in the country, he had become a Pentecostal Christian. Rational thinking and conversation had become impossible. Is that enough?
30 seconds.
Oh. The Bible was cited constantly as the arbiter of all situations. Titi decided that for the sake of their relationship, it it was better to talk less to each other. She did not call him unless it was absolutely necessary.